So before I begin, I would like to say thank you and welcome to my presentation. No matter if you are coming from another student's presentation or clicked on this presentation from the Leadership Minor page, or even because I sent it to you. Thanks for watching and hopefully you learned something new and enjoy. So my presentation, Unlocking Your Secret Potential, the Key to a Positive Mindset During COVID-19 and Beyond, by yours truly, Robert Harris. In this presentation, I will explain who I am and what do I stand for, the significant impact of COVID-19, my self-leadership challenge, the key to unlocking your secret potential, leadership and the future possibilities, and my team members and special credits who made this project possible. Now, hello, my name is Robert Harris. I am a psychology major and I'm in the leadership minor at San Diego State. I am also an EOP SWORD mentor at San Diego State as well, and I'm a student leader with Southwestern Advantage Internship. Now, leadership is important to me because of my family. I really hate seeing other people struggle, and I believe I get this helping nature from my family. I grew up in the church, even though I despised going to church as a kid. And one quote that is engraved in my mind is give and it shall be given unto you. Luke 6:38, King James Version. And basically what that means is just by giving, you can expect to get something in return. If it's not from that person, the God or the world would naturally give you something in return. So I stand to become a leader to help those in need. I strive to become someone who can help people have a successful and happy life. My biggest inspiration is my grandmother, who is a community activist in the Bayview Hunters Point, very influential, a little tiny old lady with a big impact. Now, originally, for my for my leadership project, I decided to teach a course about developing habits of success for college students. However, COVID-19 derailed my plans. COVID-19 derailed my plans, so thus I adapted and changed my project to a self-leadership project as an easy way to lead by example and to share my experiences of keeping a positive attitude and mindset during COVID-19 to teach and inspire those who are struggling during this time. Now, I never anticipated it getting really serious. However, it got very serious. It seemed like overnight, and it got exponentially worse and worse. In the beginning, it was not that bad. There was no immediate impact until cases in America started to appear one by one. People started to lose their jobs. College students were forced to go home and take classes online. People were forced to stay home due to the threat of the COVID-19. It just simply got exponentially worse and worse. So thus, my self-leadership project proved to be a little bit more challenging than I thought. Originally, I thought it was going to be easy to keep a positive attitude. I mean, look how happy I look in that picture. However, COVID-19 canceled everything I was looking forward to. Everyone at states were forced to go back home, and everything just simply was no more. I was naive to think that this would be pretty easy. However, due to this, I believe this self-leadership project is very important for others as I can share my experiences. Now, COVID-19 changed everything in an instant. Everyone was required to be stuck at home and required to practice social distancing. So that means everybody is trapped in the house. I know a lot of people can relate to the feeling that everything has been stripped away from them, and now everyone trapped in their house for their own safety. Everybody feeling some type of way. However, change is never easy. It is hard to be productive in your home. Staying home all day can be detrimental to anyone's health, and with constant distractions, with negative feelings, it could prove to be more of a challenge than anybody has anticipated. Now, social distancing has been happening for almost 2 months, and now people are starting to grow restless. People are starting to want change. There's constant demonstrations and riots, protests happening throughout the United States, breaking the social distancing rules. However, this is due to multiple reasons like the economy going down, the people feeling that they lost their freedom, the lack of jobs. Ironically, for myself, school helped me not get too lost in these negative feelings of being forced to be at home. However, these negative feelings did impact my schoolwork. It was hard to get things done, and the creation of this project was due to my research of the unconscious mind while writing essays, ironically. And after reading this book by Mark Manson, it fundamentally shifted my perspective about negative feelings I was experiencing during the social distancing time. It led to my quest for more understanding about myself and trying to improve and change these negative thoughts and feelings. This caused me to research and try to understand the thoughts that control people's outlook of life. So that means, how does thoughts impact everyday life? Why is it difficult to change behavior that we know is bad? My search to understand people's thoughts led me to researching the unconscious mind. Like I briefly mentioned earlier, I have acquired knowledge of the unconscious mind from papers I had previously written about Sigmund Freud. From this, I understood how important the unconscious mind played in everyday behavior, and especially if somebody had an underlying problem. The best way to explain the importance of the unconscious mind is through Sigmund Freud's iceberg analogy. He explained the importance of the unconscious mind by comparing the conscious mind to the tip of an iceberg, because that is what is visible, that is what we can see, that is what we can understand, as you can see on the right on the screen. However, he argued that the unconscious mind is the most important aspect of the mind, which we are typically unaware of. The unconscious processes of the mind happen at a level so deep that we cannot see or aware of the thoughts it may contain, which is similar to the deepest aspect of an iceberg. So, if the unconscious thoughts are the most significant, what does the unconscious mind control? This picture illustrates how the conscious mind produces the thoughts that we are most often aware of, while the unconscious mind produces the thoughts that we're often unaware of. But it does a good job of illustrating how the unconscious mind creates the thoughts, who essentially creates who we are, such as the habits and patterns, automatic body functions, the creativity that we have, emotions, personalities, belief and values, the cognitive biases, and long-term memory. Another scientist, a cognitive scientist by the name of George Kelly, he believed that we created personal constructs from previous experiences as a way to view the world. And this goes by his theory of the personal construct theory. He says that we use our own personal construct to predict and anticipate events and create our behaviors and feelings. So thus, in theory, our conscious decisions and thoughts stem from our unconscious thoughts from our previous experiences, what he is trying to say. Then in the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a, by Mark Manson, he debunks his theory of the feedback loop of hell. He explains the negative habit of thought people tend to have, the train of thought that drives people crazy but cannot seem to stop. He explains that people have thoughts about thoughts, which can influence our behavior and feelings. And he gives the example of, we feel bad about feeling bad. We feel guilty about feeling guilty. We get angry about getting angry. We get anxious about feeling anxious. What is wrong with me? So what is the main point? The main point I'm trying to show is that even our conscious thoughts are influenced by our unconscious mind, which we are not aware of. Essentially, the processes that we are unaware of make up how we view and experience the world. Thus, what is the key? The key to unlocking your secret potential. The key is to become aware of the idea that we are creatures of habit. This includes habits of thought, positive or negative, actions, the words you say. Mostly everything we do can be explained by a habit. Habits are powerful because they happen unconsciously, and habits essentially create who we are. Our character is basically a big composition of the habits that we created. Then George Kelly, in his book, he stated that behavior is not the answer to the psychologist's question. It is the question. This is important because the question is, how was the habit formed? In The Power of Habit, Catherine Curtis explained the biological science of habits, that she explains that our prefrontal cortex is responsible for our conscious acts, but the repeated actions causes the brain to store the habits in the basal ganglia. Now, this is further important because the way we talk, the way we eat, the way we dress, the way we interact with one another is due to the habits that we form. So thus, when we get stressed, this is not mentioned on the screen, but however, when we get stressed, our prefrontal cortex stops working. And we rely on a habit that's been formed in the basal ganglia as a mechanism. And as I stated earlier, behavior is not the answer to the psychologist's question. It is the question. It's the psychology in question. Is the question, excuse me. So what do we do under stress? What do? We rely under pressure. We rely on the habits that's been formed in our basal ganglia. So this explains how we rely on the habits, which is formed in our unconscious mind, which allows us to do things automatically and we're not aware of. So something even more interesting, according to Wendy Woods, a psychologist, she stated that about 43% of our everyday actions are repeated almost in the same context every day. Then Curtis also stated that up to 90% of our everyday behavior is based on the habit. Then in explaining the formation of good and bad habits, I had the pleasure to be on a Zoom call where Georgianne Malone gave a special talk about habits for the participants interning with Southwestern Advantage. She is a track and field star and legend who have ran the Olympics, who run the 400-meter hurdles and 400 meters. And she basically stated, it may not hurt you, but is it helping you? And which resonated to me deeply. The things that you do on a daily basis are habits. She stated that understanding that the things that wasn't helping her achieve her goals needed to be cut out so she can truly strive to what she wanted to be. So thus, the key to unlocking your hidden potential, Charles Duhigg explained that the golden rule of habit change is that you cannot cut out a bad habit instantly. You can only change it. Thus, if you believe you can change, you can make it a habit, the change become real. So focus on what you want, develop the habit, and start to change. The first step to unlocking your hidden potential is becoming aware of your own habits, which you can do by being mindful of your actions and questioning and understanding why you behave or do certain things. Once we become aware and examine the habits that we rely on in life, both negative and positive, we can start to grow and change. The determining factor that makes people great comes down to the habits that they have created. Aristotle stated, the famous philosopher Aristotle stated, that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Habits are what separates the people who are great at the professions. Habits are the things that separate the legends that we look up to. Now that I have given you the key of knowledge of unlocking your secret potential, who do you want to become in the future? My grandmother was the biggest inspiration in my life, but she passed away while I was in high school. I remember vividly during her funeral, as my cousin was reading off her list of accomplishments, I was truly shocked. I was truly shocked to hear about how much she accomplished. I didn't even know a quarter of what she accomplished. She accomplished so much that the mayor of San Francisco at the time, Ed Lee, dedicated a day in her name. And she even has a street named after her. So my point is, how do you want to be remembered? What do you want people saying at your funeral? And instead of telling people about what you want to do, how about we start showing people what we want to do? In the light of COVID-19, we have this awesome opportunity where we actually get to work on our habits. We get to work on who we want to become in the future. And like I said earlier, what separates those who are great comes down to their habits of thought, their habits of actions towards their goal. This allows them to almost work tirelessly for what they want. So how do you picture yourself in 10 years? The person you will someday be, you are now becoming. While in quarantine, we have an amazing opportunity to grow. We have an awesome opportunity to identify the things that we need to change in order to grow. And Henry Ford stated that if you always do what you always done, you will always get what you've always got. So now I challenge you to work to become the person you want to be. Take action now. There is no better time. You are the hero of your own story. So it's time to build good habits. While procrastination is the enemy, if you wait, you will never start. Now, I would like to give a special shout out to my Southwestern family, to Ray Flores, Vicky Varberg, and Aaron Sikanoff for teaching me about habits and the importance of habits and giving me an opportunity to enact and experience successful habits through my summer internship with Southwestern Advantage. I would also like to give a special shout out to Omar Guzman, as he was my teacher's assistant for ARP 205, which is the intro course to leadership minor, who made me want to pursue this leadership minor. And also Dr. Lisa Gates, just for simply being awesome and teaching me so many different lessons about being a good leader, being a leader with compassion, and helping me with this project. And my personality psych professor, Professor Sapognic. I can't say her last name, excuse me. But also just for teaching me, giving me valuable knowledge of the unconscious mind, and giving me awesome reflections about my essays about Sigmund Freud. And thank you for watching. And I challenge you to become the person you want to be in the future.